Afternoon, fight fans. Right, another announcement this afternoon regarding the up-and-coming title fight for the IBF Super Middleweight title, which was, of course, vacated by Carl Froch back in January. And the vacant fight is happening between James Degale and Andre Dirrell, which went to purse bids, and Warrior Boxing won the purse bids. And it has now been announced this fight will take place on the 23rd of May in Boston in the United States of America. Now, first and foremost, Warrior Boxing have paid a lot of money to bring the fight to the USA. We do know Andre Dirrell was not all that keen on fighting in the UK, as he believed he got screwed against Carl Froch, which for me, depending on which way you look at it, is kind of true, but it's also the biggest pile of bullshit going. Yes, Andre Dirrell, you technically did outbox Carl Froch, but no, Andre Dirrell, you cannot win a fight boxing like chicken shit for most of it. And what I mean by that is you can't hit and run like a schoolgirl in a playground, because that's pretty much what Andre Dirrell did for the majority of that fight. Scoring it boxing or not, he lost. And he didn't deserve to walk out to Nottingham with the WBC Super Middleweight title that night. Agree with me or disagree with me, a lot of people feel that way. I certainly do. It was on the other foot that fight him in the States with Andre Dirrell champion and Carl Froch challenger. If Carl Froch had gone in there and fought the same way Andre Dirrell fought against Carl Froch that night, as Brits would have been saying, Carl Froch deserved to lose. But the Americans probably would have been saying, Carl Froch, if Carl Froch had got the decision, the Americans would have said Andre Dirrell deserved to win because Carl Froch didn't fight positively, fought too negative. So, anyway, that's all the whole old news. I've had that argument with people many a time in the past. Kind of does get a bit boring. However, let's look at the two guys in question right here, because this, by all means, should be a terrific fight. Even if it's not going to be an SL barnstormer, it's going to be more of a technical chess match. However, I'm excited. If you look at both guys separately, they've both got really similar records. James Degale, of course, coming in now. So he's 29 years old. He's coming into his prime. A record of 21 fights, 20 wins, 14 by the way of knockout. And his only defeat, of course, was on that close majority decision. A close majority decision defeat against George Groves. With Andre Dirrell comes into the ring. He's 31 years old again, in the ideal prime. He's had 25 fights. He's won 24, 16 by the way of knockout. His only defeat, according to what we've just talked about, to Carl Froch. Now, what does home advantage mean in this one for both guys? To be honest, jack shit, I don't think, because it's going to be a boxing match. I don't think anyone's getting stopped here. Degale's been on a recent good run of form. He's, of course, stopped Paraban and Brandon Gonzalez in his last two fights. Two fighters who you would maybe have expected to have been in the mix with James Degale for a lot longer in those respective fights, although the Gonzalez and Paraban fights were both maybe early stoppages from the referee, although not the worst stoppages you'll ever see in your life. So I don't see anyone being stopped here. So in that respect, I don't see there being many power punches or flurries thrown. I think it is going to come down to pure boxing skill and who's got it more. With both guys being southpaw, although James Degale is quite ambidextrous and can fight orthodox as well. You'd have to say it is very, very close on paper. Just early doors. We're obviously a couple of months out from the fight yet, so I don't really want to go into too much details in terms of my prediction just yet. But on the basis of this one, I think personally it is James Degale's to lose. Now, I don't want to be harsh on Andre Dirrell because, even though I'm not Andre Dirrell's biggest fan, I do appreciate he's a very talented fighter. But James Degale just seems to have that little bit extra. He can fight the southpaw, he can fight orthodox, he can go to the trenches, he can hit hard and be a bit spiteful if he needs to be. He can fight on the back foot. He is adaptive. I don't really want to use other people's expressions, but adaptive reactive is probably the best description to use for a James Degale type of fighter. Very similar to an Andre Ward, you know, can adapt to quite a few different styles very, very well, whilst also fighting to a game plan that was pre-planned. You know, any fighter who can have that kind of momentum going into each fight is very, very dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And I don't think Andre Dirrell, for all of his speed and his good footwork that he's got, I don't think he has the spike or the toughness of a James Degale. And I think if James Degale did start laying it on him and going in the trenches a little bit, even though in recent fights we have seen Andre Dirrell start to square up his feet a little bit more and get involved a little bit more, I would kind of suggest, in my opinion, that James Degale's got a better inside game than Andre Dirrell. And I think James Degale can give pretty much any super middleweight on the planet nightmares on the inside. And Andre Dirrell is no exception to that. So I could see a fight that is going to be played on the back foot by Andre Dirrell for the utmost, realising that Degale probably has the slight advantage in speed on the inside. And that's how I'd expect the fight to pan out, because ironically enough, I would expect Andre Dirrell to be a better fighter on the outside anyway. So I can see this fight kind of James Degale chasing down Andre Dirrell a little bit, with Andre occasionally squaring off his feet and going in with the combinations. And that's where the fight's going to be won and lost. It's whether James Degale's going to be able to get inside Andre's jab and throw those hurtful combinations in the inside before Andre Dirrell can really get comfortable on the back foot, setting himself for the bigger punches as and when he needs to use them. So in that respect, it's a question for me, is Andre Dirrell better on the outside, or his best game on the outside, is that better than James Degale's inside game? And my reaction to that is no, it's not. So close fight. I can see Andre Dirrell fighting the back foot, but James Degale, maybe the pressure in fight and the inside work will just be too much in the end for Andre Dirrell. And I would expect a unanimous decision, but not an over the top, massive gap in the scorecard. It's going to be a closer fight. But I'm looking forward to that one. I'd be interested to see who's going to be on the undercard as well. I mean, if that fight had been over here in the UK, I think we'd have had an amazing undercard, because I think Eddie Hearn already had it planned out, which put a bit of a spanner in his works, which has, of course, forced him to announce that mega show coming up at the O2 Arena in London at the end of May, a week after this fight will take place. So it's going to be interesting to see who's on the undercard of this fight. At one point, I did think that they would, it's impossible now, but at one point in time, going back a month or so, I did think they would try and squeeze, if it was going to be USA, try and squeeze the fight onto the Anthony Dirrell versus Badu Jack card and have both brothers fighting on the same card for world titles. So, surprised they didn't do that. Maybe it was just too late to get that kind of deal done. But it's going to be a good fight. But if you're a fan that likes knockouts, I'd probably suggest this isn't a fight for you. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. I know it's only early doors. I've released this video quite early, but it's just because the news has come out today, and I'm intrigued. So, yeah. Take it easy. Leave me a comment.